Pretty significant news today on the gun violence front. President Donald Trump says Senate Republicans are ready to go, along with an idea blocking for several years, stronger background checks. Well, John Croman takes a closer look tonight at how those checks would work.
I spoke to Mitch McConnell yesterday. He's totally on board.
The president signaling a possible breakthrough in the gridlock over expanding background checks to private gun sales.
There's been no president that feels more strongly about the Second Amendment than I do. However, we need meaningful background checks.
Right now, you only go through a background check if you buy from a federally licensed dealer, like Corey Krause at Frontiersman Sports in St. Louis Park.
Like if you went out in the parking lot and wanted to buy a gun from Joe Blow out there, you could just do that under the current laws.
It starts with paperwork.
Now, this is the federal form 4473, it's called, and a purchaser has to fill out everything here. They answer a series of questions.
You attest to the fact that you're eligible to buy.
It asks here if you use marijuana. If you say yes, we're done.
Wow. Is that just...
Even if we live in Colorado.
Really?
If you say yes, we're done.
So even if it's legal in your state, the Fed still, that's a disqualifier.
It's still, you won't buy a gun.
After you sign the form, they run your name against the FBI's National Instant Criminal Background Check System, known as NICS.
We can get three different responses. You get a proceed, a delay, or a deny. Proceed, you're instantly good to go to make the sale. The delay, they can take up to 3 more business days to research it and then call us back with an answer. If they don't call us back, we can still transfer the gun.
Dealers can just plain refuse to sell if something doesn't smell right.
The most common one is he's looking at guns. He's been in here looking at guns, and then it's time he's got this gun that he likes, he wants to buy, but she's the one that starts filling out the paperwork.
Oh, okay.
That happens. We turn down several a week.
That would be a straw buyer situation, correct?
Yeah.
If universal background checks becomes law, transactions between 2 private people would have to be routed through a licensed dealer, closing a loophole.
That's kind of one of the draws at gun shows, because a good majority of the people that sell at those shows are not licensed dealers. And when you're not a licensed dealer, you don't have to do this.
Universal background checks. You know, the notion that people who wish to buy a firearm should be qualified first, plain and simple.
Congressman Dean Phillips, cautiously optimistic.
But this is a beginning, and we've got to seize this moment. But we also have to have a national conversation about what kind of weaponry we are willing to allow on the streets in our neighborhoods in this country.
Now, Corey Krause, the gun shop owner we talked to today, said he's already set up to do private background checks on private sales because he's so certain this will become the law
at some point.
At some point. And also, today, to this story, we focused on the national background check system. But here in Minnesota, you also have to have either a purchase permit or a carry permit to buy a handgun or a semi-automatic rifle. So there's that extra level that you would have that before you even walk into the gun store.
But in Minnesota, too, that extra level, does it exist or does it not exist for gun shows?
Well, for gun shows, there's no record of the transaction.
Right.
If it's a private sale.
Okay.
There are also licensed dealers at gun shows selling guns, and they have to do the background check. But if you buy, from Joe, you don't. So.
Okay. And just not to put Corey on the spot, but I'm gonna.
Yeah.
What is he runs a licensed gun dealership. What does he think? Should they do it or not do it? Does it bother him either way?
He says he thinks it's an extra layer of just safety, that people will want to know that who they're selling to is right. Because one of the common complaints is, well, I've known this guy all my life. I know he's not a crook, so I'm going to sell a gun to him. But one of the things Corey said is like, well, you may not know him as well as you think you do.
Sure.
He might have a domestic violence conviction that you don't even know about.
Right.
And in that case, he'd be disqualified.
Sure.
So